So this one, you just have to combine the denominators because you see how this denominator is divided by 3x. This is a variable up here that we have to solve for. And I believe the answer options should just be y's. Yeah. So 3y over x minus y over 3x. Convert this one into denominator of 3x. So you can multiply 3 on the top, 3 on the bottom. Great. So 3y over x is equal to 9y over 3x. Now we subtract them. And this is equal to 8 over 3x. So whatever this symbol is equal to 8y. I mean 8y, sorry. Does anyone have any questions on this? Let me look at the chat. Someone said, can you explain it more? What do you want to know more specifically? The idea here is we want to solve for that variable. Um, this variable up here. So I know that all the answer options are in terms of y. So what we have to do is we have to combine the same denominator, right? So you see how this denominator is x, this one is 3x, and the last one is 3x. So that means all of the denominators have to be the same on the left side so we can combine them. So what I did here is I found a denominator of 3x for this term here, and then we just subtract it as usual. This equation comes from this. 3y over x is equal to 9y over 3x. Now these both have the same denominator, so I can combine them, right? I can subtract the top and I can combine the denominators. The denominator stays as 3x. The numerator is 9y minus y, which is just 8y. Someone said, can you send these notes to us? It would be good if you guys can copy down with a notebook right now. I encourage everyone to take out a notebook. Also, like turn on your camera. I know a few of you have your camera on, but it would be nice if everyone could just take their camera on just so that we are all engaged, you know. And appreciate everyone for that. Okay, let's go to the next one. Again, I'll leave this up for like 30 seconds, but like we'll move on to the next one and we'll just like continue going on, okay?
I knew it. Cleo is the Cleo from.
Did someone say something like yeah. Yeah, again, if you can't turn on your camera on, it's okay, but I just want everyone to like kind of stay engaged as we go through it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay. Okay. Amina's room is in the shape of a rectangle. The area of the floor is 48. 1 inch is equal to 2 feet. The width of the room is 2 inches in the scale drawing. Given this, the length of the room in her drawing is. Okay, so the width of the room is 2 inches, and we know 1 inch is equal to 2 feet. So the width of the room in the actual figure, I'm gonna draw on the side here. Oh, actually, I can draw it on the bottom. Yeah, you guys can see that, right? So, uh, that's how it looks like. It's 2 inches. 1 inch is equal to 2 feet. So 2 inches is equal to 4 feet. The area is 48. So if the area of the whole figure is 48, obviously feet squared or squared feet, they're the same thing. That means the other side has to be 12. 48 divided by 4 is 12. That's just like basic, right? So once I got that, the length of the room in her drawing is, well, first we got the length of the room in her drawing is 12 feet. Or the length of the actual room is 12 feet. In her drawing, we have to convert it back. So 1 inch is equal to 2 feet. So that means that 12 feet, again, I'm going to write it out here. 1 inch is equal to 2 feet. We have to convert it back into the dimensions of her drawing. So 12 feet is equal to 6 inches. So in her actual drawing, the physical thing that she is drawing, it's going to be 6 feet. Or 6 inches. Sorry. 6 inches. The length of the room in her real life is 12 feet. Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay, let's move on. Um, this one is pretty simple. You just have to look at the wording again. It says length of the room in a drawing, length of the room in real life. Oh, I like hate these questions, but so like the easiest way to like do these are like combine A, B, and C, A, B, C. Because here we're looking for the ratio of A to C. So whatever has A to C, we see that the first one relates A to B, the second one relates B to C. So if we combine both of these, we can do something with it, right? So 3A is equal to 2B, and we see 8B is equal to 5C. So my idea is we want to combine both of the equations. We have 2B on one side and 8B on the other side. So what we can do is we can combine them, right? Find the least common denominator or like least common, what is it called, multiple. So 2b and 8b. That means we can multiply the first equation here by 4. If we multiply each term by 4, we'll get 3a times 4 is 12a. 2b times 4 is 8b. Good. Why did I say to combine it? Because the other equation here, let's draw it down now. 8b is equal to 5c. So now we could just combine them because they're both 8b. 12a is equal to 5c. Okay? So the ratio of a to c is what? Well, it says 12a is equal to 5c. So the ratio of a to c is going to be, a lot of people might choose 12 equals 5. That's not true. It should be the opposite. It should be 5 to 12. The reason why it's 5 to 12 is because 12a is equal to 5c. If the ratio, that means the ratio of AC is the opposite numbers. So A would be 5, C would be 12. If you don't understand this, think about it like this. The ratio of A to C is 5 to 12. That means A is 5 and C is 12. Let's plug in A is 5. And then we said C is 12. 12 times 5 is equal to 5 times 12. Is this correct? Yes, it is correct. So that's how we know we did it correctly. Okay? Someone said, why did we multiply by 4? We multiplied by 4 because I want to combine the equations with A and the equation with C. I see that there's a 2B here and there's an 8B here. If both of them are 8B, then we can combine them, right? Like we did here. 12A is equal to 8B and 8B is equal to 5C. There's two ABs, right? There's an AB, 8B here and an 8B here. That means that these two are equal to the same thing, so we can combine them. That's why I said 12A is equal to 5C. Does anyone have any other questions with this? Why is 12A to 5C 5 to 12? Again, the idea here is you look at the opposite number. If the ratio of A to C is 5 to 12, let's say A is equal to 5 and C is equal to 12. That's basically what the ratio is telling us. I plugged it in here, down here, and we see that it makes sense, right? 12 times 5 is equal to 5 times 12. So just as a sanity check, this is how it works. So the ratio is always going to be the opposite. Does anyone have any questions? Do you do this always? I mean, yes. I mean, this is like the standard way of doing it. You find a common multiple, the least common multiple. Here it's 8b, and then we just combine them both. Okay. But isn't it asking for A first and then C? Again, I want you guys to make sure that you're double checking your answer. The ratio of A to C cannot be 12 to 5, even if it's 12A equals 5C. If it's 12 to 5, that means 12 times 12 would have to equal 5 times 5. That's not what the question, this is not correct, right? The ratio of A to C would be the opposite numbers. So the opposite numbers means that whatever ratio we end up with at the end, 12A is equal to 5C. I'm going to like color it in maybe yellow right here. A is going to be equal to the number on the other side, 5. C is going to be equal to the number on the other side, 12. This makes the equation equivalent. This is an equal relationship. Again, we did the sanity check here. We multiplied A, well, we plugged in A equals 5, C equals 12, and we see that this is correct. Now let's continue with B and D. I'm gonna go a bit quicker just because I want to go through all the questions. Ratio of B to D is like the same, right? It should just be So in this case, we look at the ratios that combine B and D. So I'm going to clear this on the top. 3a is equal to 2b, 7d is equal to 3a. We don't use the middle equation because this doesn't tell us anything about b equal to d. So 3a is equal to 2b, 7d is equal to 3a. We see that the three a's are the same. So we can set these two things equal to each other. I'm going to do the work down here. If 3a is equal to 2b, I'm going to rewrite it. 7d is equal to 3a. So now we can just combine the three a's, right? We say 2b is equal to 7d. And again, with the same logic here, the ratio of b and d will be the opposite. It's not going to be 2 to 7. It's going to be 7 to 2, which should be our answer. The reason for this is because, remember how I said you can plug in 7 for b, plug in 2 for d. And we see that 2 times 7 is equal to 7 times 2. So this means that b has to be equal to 7 and d has to be equal to 2, or at least the ratio of both of them. So it'll be like this. Someone said, I don't get why. Again, the idea here is we're setting a ratio from equaling b to d. Let's take the 2b equals 7d. If we divide by 2, let's say we're solving for b is equal to 7 over 2d. That means whatever my b value is, I have to multiply the other side by 7 over 2 to get our d value. We can plug in any value. Let's say our b value is like b is equal to 4. 4 is equal to 7 over 2d. So this means d is equal to, well, we multiply by 2. 4 times 2 is 8. We divide by 7. 8 over 7 is equal to d. So when b is equal to 4, d is equal to 8 over 7. This is just the ratio. We can just plug in any number and we can see how it works. Another number that we can try, let's try an easier number, 14. But I just realized that might be easier. 14 is equal to 7 over 2d. Multiply 2 on both sides, we get 28 is equal to 7d. Divide by 7, 4 is equal to d. So when b is equal to 14 and d is equal to 4. Now tell me the ratio of both of these numbers. The ratio of b to d. B is 14 and d is 4. Simplify this ratio, it's just going to be 7 to 2. Does this make sense for anyone who doesn't get this? Hopefully this makes sense. Someone asked, does the TEI give partial credit? Not too sure. From our understanding, we want to think that if you do not get a question right or a part of a question right, you get the whole question wrong. That's how we are going to think about it, okay? So if you're answering a question and you get a part of it right, you still will not get the full credit. It'll be marked as if the whole question is wrong. And this is like I think this is like a drop down type of TI question. You just have to choose there's like multiple answers for each box. Okay? I'm gonna leave this up for like a few seconds and then we'll move on. Okay, let me clear my screen. Okay, a machine generates a number sequence. The first number of the sequence is n. Each number is generated by multiplying the previous number by 1.5 and adding 1. Fill the sequence by selecting the correct values from the dropdown. Okay, so the first number in the sequence is n. Each number is generated by multiplying the previous number by 1.5 and adding 1. So whatever our value is n, multiply by 1.5. We add 1 to get the next number, which we'll call m. So this means we're just working backwards because they give us the first number and we have to solve for every number before this. How do we work backwards? Well, this is the equation I just came up with. Again, you multiply the original number by 1.5, you add 1, then you get m, which is our new value. So let's go backwards. We have 18.5. I'm going to plug this in to solve for n. I know 18.5 is m because this is the new value. So n times 1.5 plus 1. Okay, if we just solve it, we subtract 1 on both sides. So n times 1.5 equals 18.5 minus 1, 17.5. Okay, now what do we do? We want to solve for n, right? We divide 1.5 on both sides. So n is equal to 17.5 divided by 1.5. If you were to do the math, you will get 7 for this. So this means that the sequence before 7, before 18.5 is 7. Now we just have to keep going backwards. Wait, I mean, I did this wrong. Wait. It should be 11.5. I just want to double check. Mm, Okay, that's my bad. So it should be 11.5. Then we kind of have to just work backwards for this one. Why is it minus 1? It's minus 1 because... Wait, give me 1 second. I think there's a typo here. There should be 18.25. But anyways, we subtract 1 because if we read the sequence, it says multiplying the previous number by 1.5 and then adding 1. So we multiply n by 1.5 and then we add 1. So I think there's a typo for this. This should be 18.25. Yeah, sorry about that. But the rest of this should hold. So we have 17.25 divided by 1.5. 17.25 divided by 1.5 should be 11.5, which is up here. So, yeah, does anyone have any questions on that? Now we just have to continue working with this. Someone said, aren't you supposed to divide first? No, because like you would originally think of PEMDAS, but let's think of this. This is n times 1.5 plus 1. Put it in a variable form. 1.5n plus 1 is going to equal a number m, whatever. Here we have 18.25. How can we divide 1.5 on both sides? We still have this constant here. I'm going to combine the constant term by subtracting 1 on both sides. Does this make sense for everyone? So 1.5n is equal to 17.25, and then we solve for n. This is exactly like solving an equation. Yes, that's what someone asked. No, so the idea here is you subtract first and then you divide. And yes, you do divide by 1.5. So again, put it in the equation form like I did here. 1.5n plus 1 is equal to 18.25. How did I come up with this equation? Well, you have to look at the question, right? Question says a machine generates a number sequence. The first number is n. Each number is generated by multiplying the previous number by 1.5. That's 1.5n, multiplying a number by this number, and then adding 1 to that number. So whatever 1.5n is, you add 1. So that's how we got this. Yeah. Just for time's sake, I'm just going to fill in the rest. So it's 11.5. You subtract 1 and divide it by 1.5. It's 7. And then it should be 4. And then it should be 2. This is just, you achieve this by going backwards. Does anyone want me to walk through how I did the first part, how I got 11.5, and then going backwards again? Or does this make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. Like the first part, I mean, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so someone said, how'd you go from 18.5 to 17.25? It's just an error with the question. I think the question meant to say 18.25 here. So think of this as 18.25. That's my mistake. How to know which order to put the question in? I think it's just like obvious that this will be the first fill in the blank, and then this will be the next one, this will be the next one, this will be the next one. It'll definitely be like more clear on the test. This is just because we're having issues with our website, but the idea is like this is the first number in the sequence, second, third, fourth. Someone said, would it be viable to do it the opposite? Like do it from the first box until 11.5? Well, we can't really do that because we don't know what the first number is. That's why we have to work backwards. We have to solve for 11.5. Once we got 11.5 here, we can continue solve for 7, solve for 4, solve for 2. Right? The idea here is you just continue solving that equation. N times 1.5 plus 1 is equal to 11.5. So you subtract 1, and then you divide by 1.5. And then you get n is equal to 7 if you do the math. Does that make sense? And then you just have to repeat this process over and over again. Okay, I'll leave this up for a few seconds before we move on, but this is just the idea. And then if you keep going backwards, you'll get 4, and then you'll get 2. Okay, let's go to the next one. Sorry about the error here. Again, the error here is it's not 18.5, it should be 18.25. I'm going to fix that right after this test. I'm going to clear the screen right now. Hopefully this question made sense. Let's go to the next one. The reciprocal of 4 is subtracted from the reciprocal of 1 over 3. Okay, reciprocal of 4. Easy. Reciprocal of 4 is just 1/4. Reciprocal of 1/3 is 3. What is the resulting value? The reciprocal of 4 is subtracted from the reciprocal of 3. So 1/4 is subtracted from 3. Hopefully that part made sense, right? So um wait. 3 minus 3 minus 1/4. 3 is so here we want to have them have the same denominator. So it should be 12 over 4. 3 is equal to 12 over 4. Does that make sense for everyone? 3 itself is 3 over 1. If we want it to have a denominator of 4, we just do this. Like 11 over 4. I think the error here is the answer keys probably has an error. There's only one correct answer. I don't know why it says select the two correct answers. So this is probably the error. The answer here should be 11.4. I'm gonna fix this as well. But the idea here is you just find the reciprocals, you subtract, you get 11.4. So I know the question says select the two correct answers, but here I guess it's just one. I can't see another one. Does anyone have any questions on this? I'm gonna edit this as well. I'm gonna write this down. Okay, let's go to the next one. Three expressions are given. Which two of these are equivalent to the sum of these three expressions? Select the two correct answers. Okay, so here we would just have to walk through step by step. We want to add these two, right? It says sum of the three expressions. Okay, so we just go ahead. Let's distribute first. 4 times 1.5x is 6x. 4 times -5 is -20. We're adding all these expressions. I just did the first one, we're going to add the second one. 3 minus x, nothing to distribute. We can just leave that. Okay? Next one, -5 times 3x plus 3. -5 times 3x is -15x. -5 plus 3 is -15. Okay. Which one is the correct one? Let's look at all these. One of these has to be correct. Comparing our equation on the top with our equation on the bottom, it's just going to be this one here. Like none of the other ones make sense. And now we just have to solve for the next part. So the next part is combining all the x's and all the constants. Let's combine the constants first. I'm going to put in a different color. We're combining 20, negative 23, and negative 15. Negative 20 plus 3 minus 15. Negative 20 minus 15 is just negative 35. Negative 35 plus 3 is negative 32. I mean, all the answer choices that actually say this, but this is just negative 32. The next part, we're going to combine all the x's. So 6x minus 15x. That's just 6x minus 16x. So it should be minus 10x. And so our answer should just be this. Does anyone have any questions on this one? Okay, let's go to the next. John and Andrew each collect coins. John has three times as many coins as Andrew. John gave nine of his coins away to Andrew. John now has six more coins than Andrew. How many coins did John start with? Select the correct answer from each dropdown to complete the sentence. This is a possible dropdown question that they'll give you. The number of coins originally in their collection is J equals blank A. Um, Someone had a question on the previous one. Just to go over it again. This is 6x minus 15x. We are not subtracting 15. We're just adding all of these together. So this should just be negative 10x. Just want to clarify this. Negative x minus 15x. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay. Okay, the next part, an equation that relates to the number of coins. John has three times as many coins as Andrew. So John has three times as many coins as Andrew. If Andrew has this amount of coins, John has three times. This is very easy. It's just 3a. Okay, next part. After John gives nine coins to Andrew, the equation becomes j minus 9 equals, well, let's think about it. John originally has 3a, right? He gives, John gives nine of his coins away to Andrew. So John minus 9. What does John minus 9 equal to? It says right here, John now has six more coins than Andrew. So whatever Andrew had, Andrew originally had a we add 9 to Andrew because remember Andrew gets 9 coins from John. So J minus 9 equals A plus 9. And John still has 6 more coins than him. So A plus 9 plus 6. This is A plus 15. Does everyone get this logic? So it should just be A plus 15. Solving the equation, it can be determined that John started with, well, now that we know that j minus 9 equals a plus 15, and we know that j is equal to 3a, we can just plug this into here. And we solve for a. So 2a is equal to 15 plus 9 is 24. A is equal to 12, but that's not where we stop. The question asks us how many coins John had at the start. John had three times as many coins as Andrew. So if Andrew started with 12 coins, John had three times as many coins as Andrew, which is just 36. Does anyone have a question on that? Okay, let's go to the next question. I'm going to clear the screen. Mm. At a restaurant, 12 dozen eggs used yesterday for 160 customers, today 280 customers. The egg usage rate is the same for both days. What proportion can be used to determine how many eggs are needed for 280 customers? Easy. 24 dozen eggs are used for 160 customers. Today, there's 280 customers. How many eggs do we need? It should just be X. 24 is the number of eggs. Dozen eggs, obviously, but um, these first top two numbers are the number of dozen eggs. The bottom numbers are the number of customers that they got. So any ratio that's very similar to this um, is just like going to work. So 24 over 160 is equal to X over 280. The other thing you can also say is that you can say that just because of this, we know that we can set a ratio between, this is just one day, right? In one day, 24 dozen eggs were used for 160 customers. And this is one day X eggs were used for 280. You can write a ratio of the number of customers. So here in this case, it's 160 over 280. These are the number of customers, and they equal to the rate of the eggs. So for 160 customers, it was 24 eggs. 280 customers, it was X eggs. We don't know what X is. We're going to solve for it. But this also works. Does that make sense to everyone? So the first one I wrote works. The second ratio I wrote works. And then I guess we want to select three correct answer choices. So these are the first two. I think this first equation is here. Second equation here is up here. Okay. Now we can I think this equation also works here. The only reason I say this equation works is because this equation flips whatever is being said here. Here we said 24 eggs for 160 customers. This equation says 160 customers are equal, or 160 over 24 is equal to 280 over x. So it just, whatever this fraction was, it flipped it. Okay? Does this make sense to everyone how we are setting these ratios with each other? Does anyone have any questions on this? Is this way better or ratio table better? Whatever is easiest for you. Since this question asks us for the different types of ratios, I'm going to go through each one and make sure they make sense to me. The first ratio, 24 over 160. This is restaurant A, and this is restaurant during one day. This is restaurant during the other day. Same thing here, restaurant during one day, restaurant during the other day. The other ratio that I came up with, one side is just the customers. So here are all the customers, 160 customers over 280 customers. On the other side is the ratio of the eggs. 24 eggs for 160 customers, X eggs for 280 customers. Yeah, so for this one, you can't use a compound proportion. I do not believe the SHSAT will test you on a compound proportion, but let me know if that I'm wrong. Um, When do you know that you'll need to use ratios? When they give you a situation like this. They tell you how many eggs are used for customers, and they only give you customers for the next day. Here, we're obviously going to be solving for eggs. There's a number of set eggs used for a number of customers. If the next day they only give us customers, we're solving for eggs. Does that make sense? So ratios are used when we are not given a certain number for a situation like this. In this case, it's very easy to tell we're not given eggs, so yeah. Okay, does that make sense? And then let's go to the next one. Again, I want everyone to try to follow along as best as you can. I can't, unfortunately, I can't just stop back for every question, so I do want to make sure we get through everything, and also that you guys get good practice. And someone said, "Are we going to do practice ourselves?" I'll let you do practice on your own time. Today, I just want to walk through this test, so yeah. A ball selected at random. What's the probability that the ball selected is not great and easy? So for this type of question, you just have to look at the total number of balls, 9 plus 19 plus 14. 4 plus 9 is, okay, so this is 42. So these are the total amount of balls. What's the probability it's not green? 14 are green, the rest are not green. 9 plus 19 is 28. So here I'm writing 42 total balls, 28 non-green balls. One equation, the probability it's not green is 28 over the total, 42. You could simplify this. This is just 2 over 3, I think. Because 28 divided by 2, 28 divided by 14 is 2. 42 divided by 14 is 3. Does this make sense to everyone? So those should just be the two answers. Does anyone have any question on this? Okay, good. I'm gonna clear the screen. Um, 13 students like reading, 28 students like music, 7 students like both reading and music, 11 students don't like either. Wow. Okay, so the idea here is I like to create like boxes for these. This is the box. This box represents the total amount of students. The circle is students that like reading. The other circle is the students that like music. The inside is students that like both. This should be obvious. And then the outside is just whoever doesn't like either. This is the what do they call this? A Venn diagram. They're like this is just a way to think about it. So okay, so 13 like reading, 28 like music. So 13 are in this big reading box. I mean 28 are in the big math box. Or music, sorry. 7 students like both reading and music, so 7 students are going to be inside this little box here. Inside the box, inside the circle that likes both reading and likes both math. Or likes both music, sorry. Why do I keep saying this? Someone said, should I do this on the test? If you know how to do it simple, this is just my way of breaking it down. I can solve this pretty easily, but if you know like an easier way, do that way. This is just a way to think about it, okay? So we have 7 here, and then 11 don't like either reading and music. We can't put them inside the circles because they don't like either. So we put 11 outside. These 11 students just don't belong. So now what do? We solve for the actual inside circle. So I know that this whole circle is for people that like reading. 13 students like reading, but 7 students like both reading and music. The 7 students are here. How many students are left? If 13 students like reading and 7 like both of them, that means 6 students only like reading. So there's going to be a 6 here and there's going to be a 7 inside the combination. Okay, and then 28 students like music, same logic here. If 28 students like music, 7 students like both of them, 28 minus 7 is 21. There's 21 students that just like music, they don't like reading. So now we have all our numbers here. We can just add these all up, and these are the total students that are surveyed. So 6 plus 7 plus 21 plus 11. And that should just be 13. So that should just be 43. Okay. So 43 total students. No, how's that not answer? Oh, 50. Yeah, do something wrong. Wait, give me one second. 6 plus 7 plus 21. 13 minus 7, 6, 28. Okay, there's definitely something wrong with the answer key. Or maybe I just did it wrong. Um, Give me one second. Let me figure this out. 7 don't like reading, 28 like music, 7 don't like either. 7 like both. 11 don't like either. Oh, it's 45. Did I just do my math wrong? Oh, my apologies. Okay, whatever I said was right then. This many students only like music, so the way that we broke it down, it should just be 21 with the circle here. I use a Venn diagram because the inside, the number 7, shows the combination of students that like both reading and music. Does that make sense? Why do I add the seven? Because the set, okay, so the idea here is six students like only reading. Seven students like both reading and music. So seven is different from six. If you like both reading and music, you will be in the middle oval. But if you like only reading, then you will be on the outside six. So the logic here is once I break it down like this, I put the seven on the inside because seven students like both of them. Now I subtract seven from the total of students that like reading, total students that like music. And then I put those numbers in the other parts of the box. So think of the six as people that only like reading, and think of the seven as people like that like both reading and music. Okay? Okay. Does anyone have any questions on this? Is there a faster way to solve it without the diagram? The faster way that I would use is like to find the total, you can just do you add the 13 plus 28. So you add the students that like reading plus students that like math. Um, you subtract the students that like both reading and music, and then you add 11. This way also works. This is a quick way to do it. So 13 plus 28 minus 7 plus 11 should also get you 45. I just wanted to use the Venn diagram to kind of like break it down. Why do we subtract people that like both reading and music? The idea is because these seven people are in both of these groups. So we have to subtract one of them. Seven students that like both reading and music will be in this group that like reading and in this group that like music. I can't count the same person. Like, let's say I was a student that liked reading and music, I would be in this group that likes reading, and I would be in this group that likes math. But there's two of me, and there's not two of me, there's only one of me. So we subtract R plus M. So that's students that like both reading and music. So this is seven. Does everyone get this? This is like the quicker way to do it. I just want to explain. Yeah. Are there going to be the same amount of TEI in revising, editing, and math as there are in reading? Oh, I mean, so there's just going to be 5 to 10 total TEI questions. It'll be in any section. So we do not know exactly which sections it'll be, but it'll be around like 10 questions. We don't know if it's going to be 5 in math, 5 in reading, but just be prepared to answer like around 10. Okay, so we're given this. Um, Okay, what if the following statements are true? Y is greater than, okay, so these you just have to compare each of these variables. Let's go through each one. So Y is greater than W. W is equal to Y over 4 and Y minus 4. So in this case, Y will always be greater than W. Let's say Y, this just makes sense, right? If we subtract Y by 4, it's going to be equal to W. Um, so yeah. So in this case, we can say that y is greater than w, and then v is greater than y. How do we compare v and y? 3v is equal to y minus 4. Mm, we can't necessarily say anything about this. I can find two situations where it doesn't work, right? One is where um, y is equal to 4, so 4 minus 4 is 0. 3v is equal to 4 minus 4, which is 3v is equal to 0, and then v is equal to 0. Here, y is greater than v, so this is wrong. X is greater than z. X over 5 is equal to 2z. So if we simplify this, x over 5 is equal to 2z, x is equal to 10z, because we multiply 5 on the left and the right. And then this means that x is greater than z. Just plug in a number. If z is equal to 1, 1 times 10 is 10. X is equal to 10. Very simple. So x is greater. And then from this, these two should just be the correct answer. I probably don't have enough time, but like if you were to do the other ones, you would also get the same thing. Okay? Does this make sense to everyone? Hopefully. Right. 15, what is the value of the expression above? So the two correct answers. Okay, so this one's kind of annoying. But what I usually do for these, we see that they're all um we can I want to combine the fractions and the numbers. The numbers are pretty easy. 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. So this is combining all the numbers. Now we have to combine the fractions. So 2 over 5 plus 1 over 2 plus 8 over 10 plus 2 over 5 again. Remember, when you add fractions, they have to have the same denominator. So 2 over 5 should be 4 over 10. I mean, the same denominator first at the start. It's 2, 5, and 10. So the least common denominator should just be 10. 2 times 5 is 10. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 times 1 is 10. So 2 over 5 is equal to 4 over 10 plus 1 over 2 is 5 over 10. 8 over 10, we can just add. 2 over 5 is equal to 4 over 10. This is 21 over 10. So one possible way is just 10 plus 21 over 10. That's one of the answer choices. The other answer choice is just going to be when you have this 21 over 10 and you simplify the mixed number. How do you simplify this mixed number? 21 over 10 itself is 2 1/10. So 10 plus 2 plus 1/10, which is 12 and 1/10. And so the other answer choice should just be the one above it. Someone said, can you always add the whole number? And why do you add the whole number even though the denominators are not the same? So for the first one, it's very easy because these are all regular numbers. We can just add them. 3 plus 2 plus 1 plus 4 is 10. That's easy, right? The second part, the fractions, you're right. I can't add the fractions yet. I need to make sure they have the same common denominator. When we added them here, they all have a common denominator of 10. So it's 21 over 10. And now we're left with 10 plus 21 over 10. You can write this as a mixed number, 10, 21 over 10. And this is fine. This is fine as a mixed number. But this is just the answer, and then you can simplify this and you get 12, 1 over 10. Just by doing this. Okay? So if it's a fraction, you always have to make sure that they have the same common denominator. Okay, let's go to the next one. A and B are both prime numbers. Which of the following can be the sum of A and B? So this one you just have to go through each one. Um, if A and B are both prime numbers, which of the following can be the sum of A and B? Oh wow. Okay, so this one you just have to break down each answer choice. So prime numbers, at least up until this case, I'll list them out. It should be like 2, 3, 5, 7, not 9 because 9 is divisible by 3, 11, 13, not 15, 17, 19, not 21, 23, not 25, 27, not 27 either, 29. What else is there? There's 31. We can kind of stop here, or we can Can continue actually. 31 is prime. 33 is not prime because you can divide it by 11. 35 is not prime either. You can divide it by 5. 37. We can just end here. Now we just have to find if we add two prime numbers, which is the sum of A and B. So looking through 29 plus 2 is 31. Yeah, so that's one. So is 31 plus 2 actually. 31 plus 2 is 33. So the answer should just be 31 and 33. How do I know it's not the rest? Well, 17, you can try combining any of these. I don't think they'll combine to 17. Like you can try, but I don't think so. 25, you can also just try it. Again, you just have to list out all the prime numbers and just try adding them together. So there's no like real way to solve this. You kind of have to just work through it like this. So, I mean, the strategy here, just write out all the prime numbers up until a certain point, and then like find what combines. Couldn't you do 23 plus 2 is equal to 25? That's a good question. I'm pretty sure you can. I think this question is messed up then. That does work. I'll take a look. I wasn't the one who made these questions, so it was kind of my first time looking through this too. So so I just wanted to show how the actual TEI works. Um, yeah, some of these questions are still a bit buggy. Like this one, you guys are right. You can do 23 plus 2 is 25. So this would also work, but we can't even select it. So yeah, that's interesting. As long as you understand how to like fill in the answer choices, you should be good. The actual questions, obviously on the actual test, they'll be correct. These are just like example questions, so not all of them are 100%. So thank you for whoever pointed that out. Okay, let's go to the next one. Set of possible values of A is 3, 5, 7. What's the set of possible values of B? Here you just have to plug in all the values of A. So A is either equal to 3, 5, or 7. If A is equal to 3, 2B equals 2, 3 plus 8. 2B is equal to 6 plus 8 is 14. B is equal to 7. Sort it out, but yeah. Do the same thing for each number. A is equal to 5. A is equal to 7. 2B is equal to 2 times 5 plus 8. Uh, 2b is equal to 2 times 5 is 10, 10 plus 8 is 18, b is equal to 9. Then you do the same thing down here. Yeah, and then you should get the same thing. So for 2b is equal to 14 plus 8, b is equal to 14 plus 8 is 22. B is equal to 11. So you should just get 7, 9, 11. Does anyone have any questions on this? This one is just a simple plug in and solve. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm gonna clear the screen as well. Maria's age is now 4 times Jenny's age. Jenny will be 14 in 2 years. How old was Maria 2 years ago? Again, just walk through this step by step. Her age is now 4 times Jenny's age. So for M equals 4J. Does that make sense to everyone? This is 4 times Jenny's age. Um, Jenny will be 14 in 2 years. How old is Mariah 2 years ago? Jenny's 14 in 2 years. An equation can be written as Jenny right now is equal to just 12. Okay, yeah. Because if Jenny is 14 in 2 years, the present age right now is 12. So Jenny is 12. That should be simple. And then solving the original equation. So the original equation is M is equal to 4J. We know that Jenny right now is 12, so Maria is like 48. Wow, that's old. But yeah. Does anyone have any questions on this? I think this was simple.
Oh
Okay.
wait, I'm confused. Wait, how did you get 12? I'm still
So it
confused on
says
that.
says right here, Jenny is 14 in 2 years, so right now she's 12.
Oh, okay. All right.
That makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next one.
Wait, but
Um,
isn't it saying that Maria, what, how old she would be 2 years ago? So you would subtract two.
oh, good question. Yeah, my bad. It should be 46. So 40, yeah, M is equal to 48. That means 2 years ago it should be 46. Okay.
How did you get 46?
So basically, you get Maria is 48 right now. So her age 2 years ago would be 2 minus whatever she is right now. So we solved that Maria is 48 right now. We subtract 2 and we get 46. Does that like make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. It should be 46. Okay, let's go to the next one. I'm gonna skip this one. We did something similar to this. It's just like you have to write out the expressions and then solve. Um, yeah, just in the interest of time, I'm gonna go through. Okay, this one's a good one. In a sample of 12 cards, 48 are red, 8 are green. A fraction that gives the probability of the first card not being green. So 4 are red and 8 are green. So what the first card is not green, it would just be 4 over 12, right? 4 over 12 is 1/3. But yeah. If that makes sense to everyone? Because 12 cards, 4 are green, 8 are red. What is not green? 4 are red. Red is not green, so 4 are not green. 4 over 12 is 1/3. A fraction that gives the probability of the second card not being green. Two cards are drawn at a time without replacement. Wait, does it say that? Without replacement. So once I took out that red, we're left with what? We have 4 red out of 12 total. Once I take out one of the balls that are red, we're left with 3 red total balls. I mean, 3 red balls, and then in total, we're left with 11. Okay, and then what's the probability that both cards are not green? So actually, once you get this part, um, you have two different probabilities, 1/3 and 3/11. Don't make the mistake of like adding them. Since these are the probability that both cards are not green, you multiply the probability. So again, just to break down what I did, 1/3 is the probability that the first card you draw is not green. The second probability is the second card you draw is not green. Then you multiply, you get 1 over 11. Is that okay? Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay, let's go to the next one. If A is an even integer, B is an odd integer, which of the following must be an odd integer? Select the two correct answers. So A is even, B is odd. Okay, so you can just like, what I like to do for this one, just like plug in whatever. The easiest even integer is 2, the easiest odd one is 1. What is odd? I just plug in everything. 4 minus 1. Oh wait, it says must be an odd integer. Oh wait, never mind. I did not see that. Wait, no, it's not even 4 minus 1 anyways. B is 1, so 2 times 1 is 2. 2 minus 2 is 0. So that's even. Again, 0 is even for anyone who's confused about that. A times B, 2 times 1 is 2, so that's not odd. A, B minus B. A times B is 2 minus B, which is 1, which is just equal to 1. That is odd. B minus 8. B minus A, I mean. This is -1, and -1 is odd. And then let's just try the last one. 3A minus 2B, 6 minus 2 is equal to 4. So I just did all of them out. The easiest way to do this on the SHSAT, it probably won't be this easy. They're going to give some like hard equation or like they're going to give some hard polynomial, like maybe like b squared or like 2b minus 8 or something like that. But like here, you just choose the easiest numbers that are even and odd, and then just plug it in. That's the strategy that I've always done. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? I'm gonna move on. Set of possible values for x is 2, 8, 14. What is the set of possible values of y if 3y equals x plus 4? We did a problem like this, so I'm not going to go through this, but basically the idea is you plug in each value for x in the equation to solve for y. Let's move on. Wow. So they don't even... Okay, so this is just simplifying, I guess. Just want to make sure this makes sense mathematically. 5 so equals 23. Okay, so I think they actually want you to solve here and then solve for the number. Yeah, okay. So let's do that. 5x minus y plus 3 distribute 5x minus 5y plus 15 minus 14 plus 6y is equal to 23. Okay. So 5x, we're going to keep the x here. This should just be plus y because minus 5y plus 6y is just y. Plus 15 minus 14. 15 minus 14 is 1, and that equals to 23. 5x plus y is equal to 22. Then just as a thinking exercise, could anyone simply solve the next one? So like now that we have 5x plus y is equal to 22, how do we get the answer for this up here for the second part? Just curious if you know how to do it,
You
maybe
could
answer the
double it
answer. Good. Why do we double it?
because it's giving you the same equation. So,
Exactly.
but yeah,
Yeah, you're right. So you double it, you get 10x plus 2y equals 22 times 2, which is 44. So again, the SHSAT wants you to kind of be like, you have to kind of be smart with these equations, right? It doesn't seem at first you can double it, but this is literally 10x plus 2y and 5x plus y. So in your head, you kind of have to think, okay, I can just double both sides. I can multiply both sides by 2, and you can get the answer here, which is 44. So yeah, does anyone have any questions on this? Someone said why double? Again, um the idea with doubling is we have 5x plus y is equal to 22. And we see that the equation is asking us for 10x plus 2y. So just to go back a few steps, we have 5x plus y is equal to 22. You should automatically realize that 10x plus 2y is just the doubled version of this. So what we can do on both sides is we can multiply by 2. So we get 10x plus 2y is equal to 44. Yeah, Cleo, did you have a question?
Will questions like this always be like the technologically enhanced questions? Because it's just one answer.
Yeah, it'll be. I mean, this might show up as a multiple choice too, and the multiple choice would just have different answer choices for this. So, yeah. If you double that side, don't you have to double the already doubled one? Not sure what you're saying. So we have 5x plus y is equal to 22. Again, this is an equation, so whatever I do on one side, I do to the other side. So I choose to multiply one side by 2 and the other side by 2. Again, when you multiply a number on one side, you multiply the same number on the other side, and then you get 10x plus 2y is 44. Yeah, does anyone have any questions on this? This is just like, now we get 10x plus 21, 2y is equal to 44. It equals a number, and this is 10x plus 2y, so it equals 44. Okay, let's go to the next one. Someone said if you double the first equation, don't you have to double the second? I agree with you. This is what I'm doing. I'm doubling 5x plus y by 2, doubling 22 by 2. The next line shows the equation for that. This is the trick. How do we know what to do for this trick? You kind of just have to realize that the question is asking for 10x plus 2y, and this is 5x plus y. Like there's some students here that probably just looked at both of these and said, okay, I can just double it by 2, and then you'll get the answer, which is 44. So you just have to be aware of like how this is just like tips that you just kind of have to know how to multiply. You just have to know how to double equations and how variables work with each other. We don't multiply 23 times 2 because there's a 1 here. So we first subtract that 1 from 23. When we subtract 1 from 23, we get 22. Yeah, for the other classes, we're going to go over the TI test like this session. Maybe next week, like Saturday, Sunday, we can. It kind of depends on what. Yeah, I mean, I'll see like what students want. But if that's what you want to do, we can do that. If not, we can just do general test prep. Okay, I'm not going to spend too much on this. I kind of explained this already. Let's do the next slide. Okay. Solving for x over y and y over x. Good. So how do we do this? 3x equals 5. 3x over 5 is equal to 7y over 8. What I do, I like cross multiply. I like cross multiplying. Cross multiplying, you just multiply these two things on one side. So that's 24x. You set it equal to the cross multiplication of the other two things. So like 5 and 7y. 5 times 7y is 35y. Hopefully that makes sense. And then now we can just solve for whatever x over y. Well, how do we solve for x over y? First, let's divide 24 on both sides. X equals 35 over 24y. Now we want to solve for x over y. How do we get x over y? We can divide y on both sides. We divide y on both sides, we get x over y equals 35 over 24. Why can I do that? Okay, and then now we got x over y is equal to this. Y over x is just going to be the reciprocal. Does that make sense? Because x over y, the reciprocal is y over x. So we do the reciprocal of the right side. And we get y over x is equal to 24 over 35. Okay, does this make sense to everyone? Does anyone have any questions on this? Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay, let's do this one. Car traveled the first 160 miles of a 140-mile trip at 20 miles per hour. And the remaining distance at 40 miles per hour was the average speed. The amount of time it took for the first 180 miles. How does that even make sense? I think there's probably an error for this. Like, well, there's no, it says 140-mile trip. So where is it coming up with that number? Okay, but I think this question is probably like an error. Let's go for the next one. Determining what the following equations are true by selecting the correct answer. This question probably won't be on the SHSAT, but it's good to understand how to do these. The idea here is that when you square a number, I'm going to write the idea on the top. Squaring a number always makes it positive. This is something that you just have to remember. Squaring a number always makes the number positive. Cubing a number either makes it positive or negative. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Yeah, sorry about that. Something happened in my apartment. Okay. Anyways, cubing a number either makes it positive or negative. So the idea here is you just have to know squaring a number always makes it positive. Cubing a number makes it positive, negative. Easiest example is like -2. The -2 squared, I'm doing this on the other side, is equal to 4. And then -2 cubed is just equal to 8, or -8. Okay. So when you cube a number, keeps it the same like negative value, right? You see how -2, the negative still stays. But for when you're squaring a number, it always makes it positive. So just to go through this, x times y times z is less than 0. I think this is false, because if you look at x, y, and z, and they're saying x, y, and z have to be less than 0. So if x, y, and z have to be less than 0, that means that either x or z are negative, right? So either x is like, we can just come up with like example numbers just to do this one, but let's say x is -1, y can be positive or negative, right? So let's say y is -2, and then z is 1. Y times x times z, this is less than 0, right? Because if we plug it in, x to the power of 3, so x is -1, -1 to the power of 3 is -1, y squared, -2 squared is 4, and then z cubed is just 1 cubed, and this is going to be -4, so that is a negative number. So x times y times z is less than 0. It's not true in this case, so we put false. X times z is less than 0. This is true. One of them has to be negative. And then just to go down the line, I'll erase this too. Y is less than 0. It could be true, it could be false, right? Because like I said, anything that's cubed, anything that's squared can either be negative or positive, and we would just never know. So y is less than 0 should be a false statement, because y can either be like -2 or it could just be 2, and it would still be less than 0. Y is greater than 0, y times z is greater than 0. This is also false, right? In this case, it's false. Y times z, -2 times 1 is -2. That's not greater than 0. And then x cubed times z cubed is less than 0. This is true, because we can choose either, if we plug both of these in, these will both be negative. But we can choose a y where the y is either negative or positive. So we say that y is equal to like 2. We plug this in, x cubed, z cubed. I think I should say z squared. Or x cubed, oh, never mind. I should say x cubed, z cubed. X cubed, z cubed is just -1 cubed. And then 1 cubed is less than 0. So this is -1, which is less than 0. So this should just be true. Again, this type of question won't be it won't be on your test, but it's just good to know how negatives and positives works. Again, the main idea is what I originally stated, where squaring a number will always be positive, but cubing a number can either be negative or positive. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, this one you would just have to go through each step. Not too sure if these are correct. Okay, so negative, yeah, I think these are also wrong. I just don't see how this fits in. So this question is probably buggy. Let's move on to the next one. Sorry about that again, guys. Okay, we can do this one. Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 Celsius plus 32. The temperature at 7 a.m. was 44. for the next few hours, the temperature rose at a steady rate of 4 Fahrenheit per hour. What was the temperature in degrees Celsius? I like how, I mean, this is also, I don't know who made this question, but it's asked you for Celsius, but there's Fahrenheit answers. So we'll just, I think we can just choose either the Fahrenheit or the Celsius one. Let's do this one. So we see that the temperature at 7 a.m. is 44 degrees, and it rises at 4 degrees Fahrenheit per hour. And we're looking at 4 p.m. 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. That should just be 9 hours. And each hour it's rising by 4. So 44 plus 4 times 9. 4 times 9 is 36, so this should be equal to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So the temperature in degrees, the temperature at the end at 4 p.m. should be 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And then we want to convert this to Celsius. The equation's up here. Can use it. So 80 degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 9 over 5 times the Celsius plus 32. Subtract 32 on both sides, you get 48 equals 9 over 5 Celsius. I think the answer should be like something around 26.7. Just looking off at the answer choices. So I think the answer should be 26.7. So yeah, I know this question is a bit buggy, but the idea still holds. Once you solve for the question, you can just plug in the Fahrenheit into the Fahrenheit to Celsius equation and then solve for Celsius. Okay, does anyone have any questions on this? I'm gonna go through this test just to see if there's any other types of questions. We can do this one. Recipe uses 2/3 cup of butter for every 1 cup of sugar. Okay, so 2/3 cup of butter for every cup of sugar. That's the ratio. So 2/3 butter is equal to 1 S. S represents the amount of sugar used and B is the butter. Wait, am I right? 2/3 cup of butter for every 1 cup of sugar. Wait, no. It should be the opposite, sorry. So 2/3 cup of butter for every cup of sugar. That means that if we used 1 cup of sugar, 1 sugar should equal, let's say S is equal to 1. We use 1 cup of sugar. It should equal
3
S
over 3.
times, I think, yeah, 3 over 2B. Because if we plug in, yeah, this should be correct. Because let's say we plug in 1 cup of sugar here, 1 over 3 over 2B, and then we get B is equal to 2 over 3. So this means that if we use 1 cup of sugar, we use 2/3 cup of butter. So I know this relationship can be pretty confusing because the question seems like it'll just be 2/3 B equals 1 S. But you can kind of write the equation out and you'll see that S is equal to 3 over 2B. And then we just solve for B, which is 2/3. So we can write this, we can fill this in. So S is equal to 3 over 2B. An equivalent ratio to B to S. Again, I wrote the ratio like out up here. I think for this type of question, they'll probably accept like any type of answer choice. So this is 2/3. So this is the ratio of butter to sugar. So 2/3 to 1. We can make this like easier to like write. This is just 2/3, 2 to 3. That's the ratio of butter to sugar. So it should just be 2 to 3. And then if the baker used 6 cups of sugar, how many cups of butter were used? So 6, so we know that for 2 butter is every 3 sugar. So if they use 6 butter, it should just be 3 times 3, which is 9. Right? Wait, no, 6 cups of sugar, sorry. So I did that wrong. 6 cups of sugar is here. 3 times 2 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. So 3, if you use 6 cups of sugar, it should just be 4 cups of butter. So 4. And yeah, this should just be it. Does anyone have any questions on this? Hopefully not. Okay, well, let's move on. Okay. Which of the following equations are equivalent to this? I could probably skip over this one. And this one, you just have to like write out all the steps to you solving this. So distribute the number, right? Like I guess I can just start off with this. Like this is 2x minus 6 plus 4 equals 2x minus plus 2. 2x minus 2. So it's going to be this one here. We can choose this. The next step is we can simplify the left side. 2x minus 6, negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. So it's equal to itself. Okay. Then seems like we can't even solve for x. Since 2x minus 2 is equal to 2x minus 2, we can add 2 on both sides. We get 2x is equal to 2x. Even if we try to solve for x, x is equal to x. So the part that'll always be correct should just be this last one, 0 is equal to 0. Does this make sense to everyone? Okay, let's move on. Okay, we'll do like a few more. And then let me know if you don't see the other. So I know this is like a math TEI number 1. We have like 2 more that we're making. If you don't see them on the on your test, just let me know, and we're probably going to assign them like within the next few days just for you guys to prepare for the exam. Okay? Okay, let's do this one. Caroline and Amaya are collecting stickers. Caroline has 4 more stickers than twice the amount Maya has. So how do we write this? So Caroline has 4 more than twice the amount Maya has. So Caroline has 4 more than twice the amount. Twice the amount Maya has, 2a. 4 more, 2a plus 4. Okay, nice. Later, Caroline gives 10 stickers to Maya, and now they have the same amount of stickers. How do you represent this? After Caroline gives 10 stickers to Maya, the equation becomes c minus 10 is equal to, well, Amaya has whatever she has, and Amaya gets 10 from her, so it's just a plus 10, right? I think. Okay. And then the last part, by solving the equation, it can be determined that Caroline originally had. So how do we solve the equation? You know, c is equal to 2a plus 4. Just plug it into this part here. 2a plus 4 minus 10 is equal to a plus 10. So this is just a. 4 minus 10 is negative 6 equals 10. A is equal to 16. Did I do that correctly? 2a minus 4. 2a plus 4 minus 10 is equal to a plus 10. So subtract a. Negative 6. A is equal to 16. 2a plus 4. So Caroline originally had how many stickers? 2a. It's 32 plus 4. It should be 36. Okay. Does anyone have any questions with this? Okay, let's do like one more, and then I'll open the floor for like any questions that you guys have about math TEI, maybe like any general questions you guys have. Okay, this is pretty simple. The rectangle has a length of 10, width of 4. Now the rectangle has an area of 64 centimeters and a width of 8. So drawing 2 rectangles here, the area is 64, the width is 8. From that, we know that the length is going to be 8. Complete the statements. The perimeter of the first rectangle, we just add up all the sides. So it should be 10 plus 4 plus 10 plus 4, 28. Okay. Next part, the area of the first rectangle, did they give it to us? No, they didn't, but like 10 times 4 is 40. The length of the second rectangle is 8. This is very simple. You know the area is 64. One of the width is 8, so the length is just going to be 8. So yeah. Does anyone have any questions on this? Yeah, Cleo, go ahead.
How come it says drag the correct answer into each box, but then there's nothing to drag to? Is that just a mistake?
It's probably just a mistake. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, sorry about that. This seems like just a drop down, like just choosing the answers. Yeah. Okay, let's do like one more and then I'll open the floor. Wow, okay. She plays a game on a number line. Hopefully this works. She starts at -4 and moves absolute value of 7 units to the right. So she lands at 3, right? Yeah, this is weird. I don't know why they'd put in absolute value, but absolute value of -7 is just 7. So 7 units to the right. 7 units to the right would just be 3. Hopefully this makes sense. It's just a number line. You just do -4 plus 7, you get 3. She then moves -3 units, so it's a 0, right? If she moves -3 units, that means she moves back towards the left. So she first moves 7, she moves back 3 units. The total distance she traveled should just be 10. You just add the total distance. So first she moved 7 units here, then she moved 3 units. In total, it's 10 units of distance. It's not telling you how many units she moved away from the starting position. It says the total distance that she moved. First, she moved 7 units to the right, then she moved 3 units to the left. So 7 plus 3 is 10. Okay, does anyone have any questions on that? Okay. Yeah, so I know towards the end, does anyone have any like, general questions about the TEI for math? Feel free to like ask right now. And I know like yesterday, I think like, sorry. How many of these questions will we get? Again, I think I broke it down earlier, but it should be around like 10 TI questions total. We don't know where or like how many there will be in each section, but estimate that there will be 10 in the whole test. Is it harder for the Kweller one? Yeah, I think the Kweller one, I mean, these aren't hard. There just seems to be mistakes here, but these are like general SHSAT questions. I expect the TI to be around the same difficulty. Yeah, I think someone else had someone else said there's 20 experimental questions, not 10. Yeah, I meant there's 10 experimental questions in each section. So 10 in the reading and then 10 in the math. Why are they adding the TEI questions to the test? Like, I have no clue. I wish I. That's a very good question. Are the score averages going to be different because the TI questions? I assume so. I'm not too sure how it's like. I guess like yes, it'll be different. Yeah, I'm still not too sure. Someone someone said why did they decide to make it digital? There's like no reason. It's because like I guess the idea is like the SAT, like what you guys will probably take in high school. It's a digital test. Yeah, I'll kind of like stay on for a few minutes after 7 too, just to answer. I know like yesterday, a lot of you guys were asking questions, and there's a lot of people here, so I'm sorry if I was not able to get to your question. But if you still have any questions, please just like follow up with me right now, and I'll do my best to get through everyone. What's the purpose of the TI questions? I mean, like, I don't know. I think they just want to test out new types of question formats. You guys have been just doing multiple choice. They want to see how you guys do with the other types of questions. But again, don't think TEI is experimental. TEI will count. Some of them will, or like most of them will count for your grade. So, yeah. Do I have any regrets going to Stuyvesant? I mean, like, not really. Like, I think like the network of like the community that you build is pretty good, pretty solid. Like a lot of my like close friends still go like went to Stuyvesant, so no, I don't really have any. Do I think the average score will increase or decrease? I mean, like probably decrease because it's a new type of question, and they announced it like a month before, or like like 1 month or 2 months before. So a lot of students who've just prepared for the test are not used to it, you know. So can you give us a list of what we should practice? That's like hard. It's really like student dependent. One thing that I would like, if I think everyone here has taken a Kweller class, if you've taken a digital test, look through the digital topics that you're struggling with. I think there's like an analytics view where you can see everything, and then search of videos. That's the main thing you should do. Any topic that you're struggling with, just search of videos. And yeah, that's like the easiest way to practice right now. Again, not every student is the same. Some students might be good with everything. They might be ready. Some students are still struggling, right? Everyone's different. So just know what test technique works best for you. When do SHSAT scores usually come out? You know, now that it's digital, that's a good question. I have no clue. I think it should, I mean, like for me, I took it a long time ago. It came out in like March. So maybe around that. It'll maybe next year. Do you have any tips for doing the reading section digitally? You know, it sucks you can't like annotate, but like if you're given scrap paper, I think you're given scrap paper. Just like taking notes on each paragraph. That's like the best technique. Knowing where each piece of evidence is. Online, you can't go back, right? That's literally just on a digital screen. You have to scroll through, and you can't. I don't know if Control F is even a thing. So, are there going to be a lot of mistakes in the test or on the real test? No, there's not going to be a lot of mistakes on the actual test. They've spent like months working on it. Again, everyone else, like even at Queller, we just learned about this news that there's going to be TI, so we came up with these questions. That's why a lot of them have mistakes. But on the actual test, there will be no mistakes. What score should we aim to get in a STI? So if you're like the STI cutoff, like let me share my screen. I think like there's this like one website you can check all the cutoffs. Like let me like send a picture. Let me see if that's possible. Send a picture to the. Can't even send it. Yeah, you guys can like look through it. But the idea for Stuyvesant is like you have to get 560 plus. That's kind of the idea. I know 556 was the cutoff this year, but it might go higher, it might go lower. My year was 557. Yeah, I see it right now. So it's pretty low. But yeah, that's interesting. Most of the TI or experimental questions don't go into the test thinking that. We don't know whether or not a question is TI or experimental. So yeah. What have I heard about the other specialized high schools? Um, I think people like my general experience at Sty was good. I think a lot of people think it was like very rigorous. Like it's hard to like adjust to like the academic rigor. I have a bunch of my friends go to Bronx Science, went to Bronx Science. They liked it. They loved it. I think Bronx Science has a good balance between like academics and like like extracurricular activities and clubs. It's a very welcoming community. Um, I mean, those are the two main schools I really know about. All the other specialized high schools are obviously great. They all have their benefits. Like Brooklyn Tech has like majors that you can like study like specialized classes in. But Brooklyn Tech has like a pretty big class size. What else? The other ones I don't really know too well. Most of my friends mainly went to Bronx Science and Brooklyn Tech, so I'm just saying from my experience. Will there be a lot of geometry and trig on the SHSAT? Trig, not so much. Geometry, definitely. There will be like acute, knowing how like acute obtuse angles work, knowing that like or how a right triangle works, knowing how angles work, vertical angles, knowing how like transversal and the parallel lines work. What topic should you do first on the test? The one you were stronger in or weaker in? I don't know. Everyone has their strategy. I like to just do it normally. Like when I took the test, did reading, did math. What did I do before the test? You know, this is like years ago, so I can't even remember. But I would just practice the few days before the test. If you're taking it on the 12th or 13th, don't study the day before, or even like the day before that. You want to go into the test like cool-minded. That's the main thing. For now, I would definitely just only focus on practicing questions that you're struggling with, question types that you're struggling with, topics that you're struggling with. Only practice those. Um, because everything, if you're very like strong on a topic, there's no point. Like you can like refresh on it, but do not focus on that. Only focus on topics that you think you can improve on. You only have 10 days, right? For most of you, only have 10 days. So, has there ever been a person who scored all of the questions correct? No, I don't think so. I think that would be like national news or something. But not too sure. I don't think so. What's a raw score, not percentage for STI or any specialized high school? I don't know. I think that's like hard to answer. Really depends on how you score in each section. Raw score is like the worst because like I don't know. It really depends on how you score in each section. I can't really give a good example. I think if you're like for specialized high school itself, getting like a 90 plus on a raw basically guarantees that you'll get into a specialized high school. So yeah, that's from my experience. I know it's like 7, but I'll still answer a few questions. I'll stay on for a few minutes just to answer everything. So if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. If not, you can feel free to leave. What is trig? Someone asked. Trig is just trigonometry. It's like a high school level topic. It's not. I don't think it'll be on the test, from my understanding. Stuyvesant prepare you well for college. Yes, because like all the classes that I take are not as hard as like it might be for other people because Stuyvesant classes are like college level, pretty much. So it does prepare you pretty well. Is everyone above the cutoff guaranteed to get in? Yes. Anyone who is the cutoff or above the cutoff gets in. Like I know someone that got in, that got like the actual cutoff. So okay. Even though their cutoff is 560, there are many people applying to the school. So will they start from the highest score, like about 800 or 700, and keep picking the people by going down? Yes, that is how it like actually works out. Um, like that's how they basically calculate it. So yes. Someone said, "What is the lowest score that I should aim for Bronx Science?" I mean, again, you don't want to aim for the lowest score. I think you want to aim for Bronx Science. It's like a good like 550 plus will get you into Bronx Science. You can look at the table just to see, but you should be aiming to score like 550 and above. 47 in reading, but 28 in math is better than a 37 in reading and 37 in math. Yeah, that's the idea because the way the SHSAT is scored, it's like scaled down between like the questions that you get wrong. So for example, if you're getting the first few questions wrong in reading and math, those will penalize you the most. And as you go down, it'll penalize you, yes. So 47 in reading means you got a 400 already. Ideally. No one will get a 47 in reading, by the way. Like, that's just like very extreme. It's definitely possible, but it's just a very extreme goal. But it means you get a 400, right? So that's already like way better. Does that mean if 20 questions aren't going to be scored, nobody can get a 57 on both sections and they would just get 47? Yeah, so again, like 20 questions, so 10 questions on each section won't be scored. So only like 47 will be scored on each section. 47 in reading means reading and grammar, 47 in math. So yeah. What if I get a 650, but there are better people who filled in my school and I'm being pushed down to sty? That won't ever happen. Like a 650 guarantees your admission to any school. This is how it will always be. Um, I can say that with like a pretty good guarantee. So, someone said, "What do you think I'd get on the test if I got a 528 on the Kweller test?" I'm not too sure. Like again, like I can't really say for certain what you would get on the test. the Kweller tests are definitely like as difficult as the SHSAT, or maybe we make our tests a bit more difficult. So whatever score you're aiming, whatever score you're getting, think of that as like you're taking the actual test, right? So just keep that in mind. Is math more important? No, I think reading and math are both important, as equally as important. Are there people who got more than 700? Yeah, I know like a few. It's pretty rare, but definitely there's like a few people. Like I'd say like maybe like 3 or 4 people do. What should you aim if you want to go to Staten Island Tech? I sent a chart, so you can just look at that. Can grammar questions be experimental? Yes. Experimental questions can be either in the reading, math, or grammar. Is the whole score an 800 or 700? Yes, the total score is out of 800. The SHSAT is scored out of 800. Okay. Wouldn't the score in the Kweller test be way higher than the real test since it's not scaled with others in the class? Again, I know what you mean, but I would definitely like look at your scaled score as like what you're scoring on the test. If you think you're doing well, then if you know you're doing well based on your score, you know you're doing well. You know, what is a good raw score to get in the Stuyvesant? I know it's pretty extreme, but like I think anything like a 95 plus to like 100 plus raw score will guarantee your admission. Just from my understanding of how the test works, even maybe like a 90 plus might guarantee your admission. Um, so yeah. Okay. Wait. Is there a reason why some of the tests in Kweller Prep are easier and oftentimes harder? The first test was hard, second test was easy, third was hard, and it was mismatched like that. I'm not too sure. I mean, like again, difficulty depends on the person. I think the first test is definitely the most difficult, just to give you guys like a reality check. But like, then after that, it kind of like alternates. Are there people who got 700 plus or even a perfect score? Um, I don't think anyone's ever gotten a perfect score, from my understanding. Um, but 700 plus, maybe like a few people get it. Again, like I would not worry about getting a 700 plus. Definitely, like your goal should just be to get into your school. I don't think the score that you get actually matters. So, how do they make a scaled score? Like, good question. It's like the people who make the test figure it out based on the difficulty or like how well you guys do. That's how they'll scale it. That's how they like scale it. Something that we don't really have access to, but if everyone passes the cutoff for a certain school, will the school base admissions off the highest scores? Yeah, so the cutoff is made so that anyone who scores the cutoff and above will get into that school. That's why certain years have higher cutoffs than other years. Like just looking at that like table that I sent, let me look at it from my end. I sent a picture of it so you guys can look at it as well. Stuyvesant's been the same. Bronx Science actually went up a little bit, or it's like alternated. Bronx Science in 2020, look how it was 531, and then it went back down to 518. So that means like maybe people during COVID took the test more. More students took the test. That's why it's more competitive. Um, what is the perfect score at 800? The test is out of 800. Wait, I'm gonna answer someone. Someone said they got a okay. How would the specialized high schools pick students if some of them have the same score? Well, if you have the same score as someone, you're both getting in, or you're both not getting in. Again, the cutoff score works like this: you score the cutoff, you get in. You score above the cutoff, you get in. You score below, you don't. Is every single question equal? Or are there some worth more points than others? All the questions are worth the same. The first few questions you get wrong. Again, there's like I think in the Kweller like syllabus that you guys got for your classes, it explains this pretty well. The first few questions that you get wrong on the SHSAT will penalize you the most. So cutoffs are, if someone said, so cutoffs are based after all the SHSAT scores come in. Yes, cutoffs are made once everyone has taken the test. Then they figure out the cutoff. They see like, oh, this many students did this. We're gonna make the cutoff this score. I don't even know how the algorithm works, but that's how it does work. Someone said, what is the perfect score? Again, like, should just be 800. That's just what the test is out of. How can everyone that gets in above the cutoff score get into the school? Like, isn't there a certain amount of people that get in? Yes. They choose the cutoff score based on how many students they want to admit. If they want to admit more students, then they lower the cutoff score. Someone said the perfect score might be 700, 735. So the ideal perfect score is 800. I don't really know what the perfect score is from my end. So is a 572 guarantee Brooklyn Tech? But like if you look at the chart, it should be like basically a guarantee. Brooklyn Tech's cutoff has always been around 500 right now. So if anything like a 572 basically differentiates you. How many students can get into Stuyvesant and Brooklyn Tech? Stuyvesant, they don't tell you how many, but it's like around 800. It's around like 900 kids get in each year. Brooklyn Tech is like way more. I'm not sure about the student population. If you could search it up. If the Bronx cutoff is like 520 and I get 524, would I get in? Yes. Any score that is the cutoff or above will get you in. Has the 20 questions not being scored been around for other years? No. I mean, it's always been. Experimental questions have always been a thing. And my test, I got experimental questions too. I didn't know which ones it was. I just took the test the same as you guys. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Hopefully I answered everyone's questions. If not, you'll see me next week. Someone said, "Are you going to go over the ELA test from yesterday like you did today with math?" I'll plan to if I have like free time. And then whoever asked, we're gonna send the rest of the practice tests. So don't worry. If you want the TEI like practice tests, we're gonna send them out eventually. Again, like you saw how there were mistakes here. We're just gonna like look over it one more time just to make sure there's no more mistakes and do our best, and then we're gonna share it with everyone. Okay, we'll end here. Yeah, good work, everyone. We'll start again. I have review session on like Wednesday, Thursdays, 5 to 7 p.m. We're doing like the online the DOE test, and then Saturday, Sunday we're just going to do more practice tests and just more practice for your test. Okay, so everyone take care. I'll see you guys next week. What is it?